In this second recording, we're going to be continuing our discussion of the Clone Wars, the article by Stock and Fukuyama. It is important to remember that this is just a brief coverage of their article. Since it is very long, we're going to be skimming over some of the major points as we continue the discussion. Now, Stock replies to Fukuyama and really is trying to say that any sort of ban that our government tries to put on these new technologies is going to be inherently, invasive and harmful. Fukuyama says that he's concerned with safety, but Fukuyama really is too vague, what Stock says. Stock affirms that caution is good, but it needs certain parameters. Otherwise, it's going to just wind up being oppressive. Now, he does acknowledge that Fukuyama raises an interesting point on sex selection, but as interesting as that point is, it is unfortunately invalid. Now, though he says that sex selection was an issue in certain Asian countries, there were a number of factors that were at play there that aren't at play here. There were legal factors and there were cultural factors. And neither the legal factors nor those cultural factors are present in the United States. So let's focus on what it means to regulate within the United States rather than in some country where it doesn't really apply to us. Also, he notes that in Fukuyama's previous response that there was some discussion of the social cost of prolonging the elderly, saying that we could prolong somebody's life for a number of years but not their quality of life. And Stock acknowledges that really, if this is the case, that we're concerned about the social factors of prolonging the life of the elderly, then why are we bothering to even provide them care to begin with? If social factors of prolonging someone's life is a bad thing, then don't prolong their life. Now, obviously, that's absurd. But really, what is the difference between prolonging someone's life through conventional means or through enhancement means? So if they're not really any different, either you should ban them both or allow them both. And he's saying, really, we should be allowing them both. Stock also wants to pick up on Fukuyama's point about therapy and enhancements. And he says there's not a sharp line between what is therapeutic and what is enhancement. Enhancement itself really isn't wrong so long as it's available and it's safe. Now, Fukuyama reads that and comes back with a response. And he said that Stock misunderstood the idea of the sex selection issue. The problem isn't sex selection itself, but what happens when we leave personal choices in the hands of parents. Now, people should not have any sort of free reign over their genetic choices. If practiced by enough people, there could be societal consequences for free reign on any sort of eugenics. Now, when Stock mentions that sex selection isn't completely valid, Fukuyama's quick to point out that no, it is completely valid. He points out that in Korea they had a terrible catastrophe that was going on with their population control, that there was a vast number of males and an insignificant number of females. How was this problem corrected? Through government intervention, not personal choices. Also, he picks up on Stock's point about prolonging the life of the elderly, and he said the fact that stem cell research may prolong life or cure disease does not trump ethical concerns. That even if we can prolong quality of life and prolong life, we still have to understand that there are ethical considerations. And prolonging life itself is not a problem. The problem is that when we double lifespans, but only slightly delay the onset of debilitating conditions for only a few years or maybe even a few decades. The healthcare system is already flooded with people who wish they could die but can't. The fact that we are continually extending people's lives but not continuing their quality of lives. Fukuyama recommends extending existing interventions for healthcare and try to use those to take into account new possibilities for the advancements.